What's up, guys? Want to make a video for you today to update you on a lot of different things. So we did the barnstorming tour for the California Dogecoin, and it's like the greatest thing and the biggest headache in the world to do it logistically. But you know, we had a great time, and wasn't able to really do a lot of videos as far as some kind of crypto video or something from any of these stadiums, just because there's so much going on. It's literally from one stop to the next. And you know, we played the Long Island Ducks twice, played the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs twice, we played the Lancaster Barnstormers of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we played the Staten Island Ferry Hawks, and then we ended up playing the Lake Erie Crushers for 2 games over there in Lake Erie, so over there in the Cleveland area. So it was a little bit sort of a tour. Now, the Atlantic League games, we didn't have any kind of mini camp or anything going into it and stuff like that. It was good work, but the thing that you're always up against is you're constantly losing pitching, kind of like coming up towards the games, guys getting signed, guys getting hurt, all these kind of things. So, but once we got the Lancaster, you know, things started to roll, and we actually shut out Lancaster 2-0, and they were the Atlantic League champions last year. And just to give you a little bit of a kind of insight on the Atlantic League, 50% of the guys in the Atlantic League have MLB experience. You know, if you look at the lineup for the Long Island Ducks, you know, it's pretty dangerous. So you got some pretty big names kind of there and everything, and you've got a lot of good guys in the Atlantic League. That being said, we really beat Staten Island too, because they rolled an inning against us when we had a couple guys on. You know, but yeah, shutting out Lancaster was definitely, that's the best squad that we've assembled. The best team that I've been able to assemble since, you know, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. That was the best team. Now, guys are going to various different teams, guys are getting various opportunities, and you know, some of the guys are going overseas. So that being said, that was that. That's exciting. Wanted to update you on some crypto stuff, general business stuff that I'm seeing, and just kind of an update video overall. Now, we have a Litecoin happening in August, and I would say with the current market conditions and stuff like that, I would say feather out on any of the rips. Personally, I mean, it's kind of funny because before we hit $100 with Litecoin, I said that twice, well, I could maybe see $100, and it kind of went up there and touched that twice. I just think that a little of the market is a little bit soft just because money's expensive, people are hurting for money and stuff like that. It's a speculative investment, it's risk on investment. So while there could be more kind of black swan events with more banks failing and stuff like that, it's really kind of hard to say how much money gravitates towards Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin. I feel like at this point, Dogecoin is the better play at this, you know, 7.1, 7.2 cent kind of price point, in my opinion. Now, you know, Litecoin's sitting around 80 bucks and all that kind of stuff. We could see some pops, you know, on some updates and stuff like that, but I just don't. I mean, it's a precarious situation with Bitcoin. How low could it go if this kind of burns off, and we're seeing some kind of softening and not a lot of money kind of inflows and stuff like that. It's again, it's a double-edged sword. You're stacking a position. You got to stack for the long term, but in accordance to the 4-year cycle, if you remember 2019, towards the end of the year, we actually had another buying opportunity for both Bitcoin and for a lot of the altcoins. And that is where I picked up some of my last final bags that I got of Cardano, Dogecoin, so on and so forth. But Bitcoin did drop down to about 3,400 in late 2019. So we could see sort of this retest of that low of maybe 15,800. Maybe it even dips below that. But again, I wouldn't hold your breath that it's going to go to 12,000 or anything at this point, because you have this time cycle. We never went as low as I sort of felt like we could go, because suddenly banks started failing, and some of the macroeconomic factors, like in the whole world, started to kind of change, and so it seemed like some money flowed to cryptos a little sooner than I thought. Now that being said, like if you're picking up Bitcoin 25, 26,000, that, and you're building positions and stuff, I don't think you're going to get hurt, long term. Certainly not. And the fact that you can lever against it, and I say this over and over and over again, the power of DeFi is absolutely unbelievable. So if you're not really sure about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, you don't know where it's going, well, but you kind of want to position, but you also want to buy, gold and silver, you want to diversify into some kind of tangible asset, like vehicles or land. Maybe you want to have a bug out property or something way out in the middle of nowhere, or whatever you're trying to do to diversify, because you certainly don't want your money in the banks. They don't have any money, and we don't know if they're going to do a bail-in at some point. And they've already done this with the home loans, where people with bad credit and various different things, that they're almost being subsidized for some of the loans from the people who have good credit. So just a lot of weird stuff happening to sort of prop up the real estate market, to prop up this economy. So you never know when enough of these banks fail and they're out of money, and let's just say the government can't agree on raising the debt ceiling, and then we default on our debt, and it ends up looking really, really bad. And a lot of these countries maybe don't feel like it's such a safe place to be in the US dollar, so on and so forth. All these things happen. You got all these bank failures. Who's to say when you're really going to be able to get your money out and stuff like that? I would not keep any more money in the banks than it takes to sort of keep the flow going, pay bills and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's just like the crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. If you don't have that money, or you don't have some tangible asset, either you have cash money, bills, you got crypto, where you are storing the keys on a hardware wallet, or maybe it's in a software wallet that you're using as a hot wallet for smaller amounts, that's not your money. So, you got to look out for yourself, first and foremost. Look out for your family, kind of stuff. And the thing, and my family is a very good example of sort of the mindset of different people of that generation. And the fact that they obviously didn't go through the Great Depression, or that, not that old, but they would hear stories from the previous generation that people lost their money, people lost their properties, all this kind of stuff. But it's almost like, even being able to tell that story and know that story, it's almost like they can't sort of identify with that because they didn't feel it. It's weird, because it's almost like I'm more cognizant of it than them, even though they look at a lot of stuff like the news, and it's scare tactics all the time and all this kind of stuff. And we've got all these issues. We got the banking issues, we have the border issues. If you want to come to the United States, the border's open. So if you want to try to get a piece of what you think the American dream is that you saw in a sitcom where someone was living in California suburbia, be my guest. You can come right across the border. Nobody's stopping you. So, at this point, my parents, they go on about this, all the time. Oh, the border situation is crazy and this and that. And it is. But they're not doing what they need to do to protect themselves. And for the last 10 years, my dad has said, oh, they're going to outlaw Bitcoin. They're going to outlaw it. And, doing that for a decade, which is a significant fraction of their lives, has really cost them a lot of potential capital appreciation by not getting in. Obviously, Bitcoin in the last 5 years has far outperformed the S&P 500, gold, silver, so on and so forth. And that will continue to be so, because guess what? They can't shut down crypto. They cannot shut down Bitcoin. They cannot shut down Litecoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum. They really cannot shut these down. There's just really no way to do it. So that being said, people are not kind of taking their own advice in a lot of ways, and they'll just kind of have this money lingering around in the banks and think, oh, well, it's not going to happen to me. My bank's okay. And we see this all the time in crypto, where people erroneously think that they're insulated from a particular problem because they think that their exchange is okay. And they know it was another thing. We saw Bittrex filed for bankruptcy. Now, I don't know that anybody necessarily could not withdraw their funds from Bittrex, but they had previously kind of pulled out of the U.S. market and said, get your funds, get your funds out of here. So that being said, guys, we still are having a lot of the issues spilling over into crypto still that we previously had. When some of these other failures happen, we're still having some of that, and we're having these banking failures. The whole financial system, obviously is in a lot of turmoil, and you got to protect yourself, and it's hard to know where to go to. Where do you place your wealth, your assets, your savings, all your hard work? All that money is stored time. So I previously mentioned this, that I felt like around Fort Wayne, Indiana seemed like actually a decent area to invest kind of real estate development. It's low inventory. It seems like if you did do some build outs, you would have somewhat of a runway. Another thing in Rules for Rebels, I actually said this in one of his videos, that there were some articles talking about Lafayette, Indiana. So West Lafayette, which is across the river from Lafayette, is where Purdue University is. And so they're trying to kind of build out a lot of their kind of tech stuff, and they have kind of this tech park and industrial park kind of thing. And so you got that, and you got Lafayette, which has like a Subaru plant, and then you've got Caterpillar, and you have like a presence from like Siemens and some other companies as well there. So there could be an opportunity in those types of cities. Also, Tulsa, Oklahoma is another one that I've talked about before. I do think there is somewhat of a runway in a place like Tulsa, where there's like a little bit of America still left, if that makes sense. A lot of these places, anything that went parabolic, you cannot sustain a parabolic run indefinitely, whether it's crypto, whether it's a stock market, whether it's real estate. And so we're already seeing these declines, obviously in these places like Phoenix, Tucson, and then obviously over in California, the Bay Area. A lot of the commercial real estate is in dire situation in a lot of these places, and skyscrapers kind of being sold for way under what they were initially built for, or initially purchased, or had been resold like a few years ago kind of thing. So a lot of issues are going to pop up there, and that's going to be kind of a continuing trend, I think, that we're going to see. But that being said, again, I don't want to be kind of doom and gloom. There is a lot of opportunity out there, both in crypto, both in kind of different businesses and stuff that you could start, and different areas of the country where you could partially kind of insulate yourself from maybe what's happening on a macro level. So I would say avoid the big cities. They're death traps. Got boots on the ground. One of the sleeper agents, out there in Tucson, he actually had his truck broke into, just going into Home Depot, getting some materials to build. And, he had his truck unfortunately broken into. It's that quick. There's a lot of crazy things. We've obviously seen these mass shootings seem to happen every, freaking 6 hours or something here in the United States. If you're not from the United States, I'm sure a lot of the similar type things, you guys are feeling some of the similar type issues, maybe with energy costs and inflation related issues with food and fuel. So it's just not an easy situation. Actually just got a message from a friend. I guess Pulse Chain did launch. That's another quick update on that and stuff like that. And so I know a lot of people have been waiting on the Pulse Chain. I did not sacrifice to be involved in it. I'm just going to kind of see how this plays out, the next few days. Who knows? Maybe I'll get home from the gym and maybe I'll throw some money or something in a Pulse Chain if I think there's an opportunity to get in and maybe reap some benefit, from that and stuff like that. So we'll see a lot of crazy price action here. So anyway, guys, are you guys excited about Pulse Chain? Are you guys excited about, various business ventures, getting involved in real estate in some of these markets that maybe seem to be partially insulated from everything going on? And, just kind of what's going on. It's summer's picking up here in the United States, getting warmer and stuff like that. Obviously been mushroom hunting, found quite a few mushrooms, but I think to find another set of mushrooms, I'd probably have to go up to like Niles, Michigan or somewhere around there or something to kind of get the next set. People kind of follow this to the north, you know, if they want to keep chasing where the mushrooms are coming up. Anyway, guys, we will see you later. Follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Steemit, Twitter, Hive, DTube, everywhere.